sometimes my life, Roland, stop that, looks so put together online. In all honesty, I have so much going on in my life with 4 dogs and 1 cat, 5 fur babies, should I say that. And so I wanted to talk to you about how do you overcome imposter syndrome? If you're like a little guy, like Roland here, how do you get past and say, hey, my name's Roland? How do you get over imposter syndrome and over those fears and become like Birdie here? Conquer your fears. How do you overcome imposter syndrome? And if you're not sure what imposter syndrome is, that is when you feel like you're maybe not that thing, like you're not really there. For instance, I want to start a business, but maybe I don't have all the skills, or I want to start cutting hair, but I would never be good at that, or I only know how to trim the edges, or you want to do something, but you just feel like you're not going to be good at that, or that somebody else is better, and why should you start? And you have all these like what ifs or reasons for why you don't start something is usually the case, is it keeps you from starting something. It's like a fear, an anxiety, a stressor that keeps you from making a move. I know so many people that this has happened to, and I talk to them all the time, and that's why I love it when I have phone calls with people and they tell me about their struggles in their life, or they drop comments below and let me know, hey Brandi, this is what I'm struggling with. I can relate to them because I know as an entrepreneur, as a digital nomad, how do you grow? How do you get past that feeling of I'm not good enough, or oh, you know, maybe I shouldn't start that yet, or I don't have enough money yet, or I don't have the skills for that yet. There's a lot of things that I don't realize that I have the skill set for until I talk to someone else and I realize they aren't where I'm at and that they need that thing that I already have. Another thing, I was actually just looking at the room that we're in. You know, it looks a little disheveled in here, but I just felt like where was a better place to talk to you about imposter syndrome than really here? Because my life, it isn't always perfect. I'm not always in the RV, or we talk about the penthouse and things like that. I don't want someone to think that my life is something that it's not. A lot of the things that we have in our life are business decisions or investments that help us live a more productive or profitable or peaceful life. And so a lot of people don't realize the reason that we have the RVs is so that we can travel and have all of our dogs with us. One of our RVs is stationary. We keep it on a lake so that I can go see my mom. And so it's not like, oh, look at me, I've got all these RVs. It's more of, hey, these are like investment decisions to us because it costs us a lot more money to try to go in and out of hotels, but we like to travel. Or if you don't know why I travel and you don't know my story, which I shared in a prior video, you can check that out. I talked about why I travel, why I ever even got into RV life, and how becoming a business owner has led me to the next step and the next step, but how I ever ended up with all of these puppies. If you don't know, you know, I ended up with Birdie. Birdie was the first one. And then we ended up with Roland. So Birdie was my little pride and joy. And then Roland came along, and then we ended up with Crypto and Petunia, and we already had Milo, and we also have Johnny the cat. Crypto actually just found a home, but imposter syndrome would have held me back from fostering a dog. I sat there for a year and I didn't want another dog. I was like, oh, I can't get another dog. It's, you know, I don't think I can do it again. And I can't tell you how many people tell me that, like, oh, I can't get another dog, or oh, I couldn't have a dog, or I don't know how to do that thing, or oh, I don't have the money, or I don't have the time. There's all kinds of excuses that you can make in your life about why you don't do certain things. But if it had not been for me fostering Birdie, I wouldn't have fostered the next dog and next dog, and I wouldn't have started Birdie's Doghouse. So I wouldn't have started my dog rescue, and I wouldn't have started the website, and I wouldn't have started telling people, and I wouldn't have gotten Crypto adopted out and to his new life that I haven't even shared the story that it impacted in his life. Speaking of that, I thought it was kind of like timing. The timing was a little ideal to tell you this, and kind of the reason I even wanted to make this video, is because I was reading in like my daily Bible verses, and I have this little book. It's called Jesus is Calling. I'll put a link to it below this video. You can check it out. But I was reading one of my little daily Bible verses in there, and it said, with imposter syndrome, it makes me feel like, oh, I need to be somewhere. I'm looking at that person that I know and like, oh, they're so much further ahead of me. Or people tell me like, oh, you know, your YouTube videos, like, why are you not bigger than you are? Because you make like really good YouTube videos and they're so like structured and content and whatnot. There's all these reasons that I know could be, but I'm not gonna let what people are saying keep me back from continuing to create the content that I need to create, or doing the thing that I know I need to be doing. It doesn't matter whether the dogs are back there doing their thing or Roland's back here chewing on his bone. I still have to get the videos done. It's kind of like if you have kids working from home, you know, I would ideally not like them to be chewing the bones and talking in the back of the videos. But if I go put them outside the door and I shut the door, they're going to sit here and crawl at the door and they're not going to answer me. But I was feeling this imposter syndrome the other day, and I was reading through one of my Bible verses, and it said pretty much in a couple words or less was, your time, everything will happen in the right time. Don't expect everything to happen when you want it to happen. It's like, take action and do the steps that you need to be taking, and your time will come. Yeah, maybe when you start, you don't feel like I'm that person, I'm that thing. But gradually, as you start to get a little bit more under your belt and a little bit more under your belt, you can start to say, oh, you know, like when I started, I didn't know anything about RVing. I didn't know anything about entrepreneurship. I didn't know anything about building a website or a brand or social media, or that my name was going to be Blog and Brandi. I didn't know any of that. I came up with Arversity. I came up with my business website. I came up with YouTube videos and content. And even like the reason that I came up with this video is because I can't tell you how many people say, and they actually don't even know the word, that imposter syndrome really just means that you are like afraid to start something because you're afraid that you're like not that person, like you're not good enough, that someone else out there is better than you. And so like you have all these what ifs about why you can't get started. When I was reading this Bible verse, it really did just make me think like, yeah, you know, maybe it's not your time yet. It wasn't your time then. And also, had I used the gifts that God had given me at the wrong time in my life, it wouldn't have benefited me. Do you know what I'm saying? Because had I shared those things, I wouldn't have known where to position it, how to position it, what to tell people to do. Like, oh, subscribe to my video and like this video and tap the little bell icon below, or comment below, or to subscribe to my email list and head to the description below this video, or even to say like, oh, don't forget, you can find out all about me on blogandbrandi.com, BLOGGINGBRANDI. I wouldn't have known to say like all those little branding things or to put that in my video before. But why would I make a video now and not want someone to subscribe or like? And now I know that those are subconscious things that if I don't tell them to do it, they might not do it. So when I say it 5,000 times, eventually, hopefully, at some point, they're going to push those little buttons, or they're going to drop a comment below and they're going to let me know how this video resonated with them, or they're going to head over to my website, or they're going to send me an email, or they're going to book a call with me so that they can ask me questions. That's why I said I'll put links to all that stuff below this video and you can check that out. But when I'm trying to overcome imposter syndrome and that what if mentality, honestly, taking some kind of action helps me do that, because then I feel like, okay, I did something. So I actually made a video about how to start and some actions and steps that you can take and all about that. But taking some kind of step makes me feel a little bit more justified in, oh, I know how to do that. Recently, I talked about how I created a whole bunch of websites, like 3 websites in 3 days or something crazy like that. And it was because I just started. Somebody gave me this idea and they said, hey, if you want to start, what you need to do is this one little thing, magic. When I did that one thing that I talked about in my prior video about how to start, it multiplied everything else. And so by me just taking that one action, and just starting, it's one thing. It could be buying a domain name. It could be starting a website. It led me to having literally a website by the end of the day. And then I was like, dang, that was easy. So then I had all my social media set up. And then I was like, well, that was kind of fun. I've been wanting to do that for a while. And so I had like a travel website. And then I had a money website. And I have a blogging website. And then it reminded me about my business website. The ones that I've left behind, the things that I started, never finished. So if you have things that you've started and you've never finished, maybe that's a great place to start, is to get those things started again. Overcoming imposter syndrome. Maybe it wasn't your time back then. Maybe it wasn't my time. You know, at one point I thought, let me put all this stuff in one place, and I try to smush everything together. And then I started figuring out, no, it doesn't all belong together. It's not meant to go together. It's meant to go in different places. And so I wouldn't have known that had I tried to do all the things that I have done or not done. Now, hopefully that helps you make some decisions. Overcome imposter syndrome, and remember that not everything's supposed to happen at the time that maybe you think it's supposed to happen. Maybe you're just getting prepared for the next season and the next thing in your life. So if you're stuck and you're feeling like, I don't know what I need to be doing right now, or I don't know what steps to take, I've made videos about that. I talked about getting unstuck in a prior video and some things that I do to get unstuck. Maybe overcoming imposter syndrome means taking a couple other steps in your life, but the first step is taking a step and just remembering that not everything happens overnight. Not everything happens overnight. Not everything's supposed to happen right now. But I want you to comment below and tell me, what do you feel like an imposter about? Are you suffering from imposter syndrome? Have you ever felt like that before? Like, oh, I'm not good enough, so I just shouldn't start that thing. What is it that maybe helped you overcome it too? What's something that helped you overcome it? What's your little tactic for that? Comment below and let me know. If you like this video, let me know by hitting the like button below, subscribing to this channel, and tapping that little bell icon so you're notified every time I publish. If we haven't officially met, I'm Blogging Brandi. You can check out all of the stuff that I mentioned in the description below this video, and all the good stuff on my website, bloggingbrandi.com. Watch my story and all that fun stuff. I love you, and I'll see you in the next video. And don't be an imposter. Don't feel like an imposter.
Stop drinking the corporate Kool-Aid. No more.